First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Good evening and welcome to First at 5 from WUFT News. I'm Ashley Weinstein.
And I'm Emily Palazzotto. Thanks for joining us. As we come on the air, UF students lose access to one of their favorite pastimes. The University of Florida is banning TikTok, not only from university-owned devices, but from the campus Wi-Fi network as well at the end of the business day today. The university says that it's in a new email that this is a step to comply with an emergency regulation by the Board of Governors. In addition, it recommends members of the campus community stop using the app for their own personal use. The university says it's against any software it deems high risk like TikTok, as protection of UF data is their top priority. A cybersecurity professional at the University of Florida says he understands the concerns of the university.
If there was a clear cut that was verifiable that all the data would be remaining in the US, there won't be any influence from the Chinese leadership on those data moving to China, then yes, I wouldn't be in favor of banning. But as long as that backdoor is possible, I would say the risk is there.
As of right now, Steve Orlando says it's unclear what the punishment will be from the Board of Governors for violations.
A suspect is in custody in Putnam County after he threatened to blow up the Rodman Dam. Police say the man was on the Rodman Dam yesterday when he told fishermen in the area that he was going to blow up the dam. Police responded to the scene, leading to a 6-hour standoff. As negotiations deteriorated, the man was described as being no longer coherent, and officials eventually moved in and used rubber bullets to subdue the man and take him into custody. No explosives were found at the scene, and the suspect is receiving medical and mental health care, but will be booked on felony charges of making a bomb threat and terrorist threats.
Former President Donald Trump has returned to Florida after his historic arrest. Reaction continues to pour after he faced a judge in New York on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records.
In a speech to supporters, the former president rallied against the prosecutor and judge and has continued airing his grievances online today. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Fresh questions today about the legal and political path ahead for former President Trump after his historic court appearance on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in an alleged hush money scheme before the 2016 election. Back home at Mar-a-Lago overnight.
There is no case. There's no case.
The former president already testing the judge's warning to avoid language that could incite violence or unrest, slamming the judge, his family, and the Manhattan district attorney.
The criminal is the district attorney.
President Trump heard the judge. He's not done anything to try to incite violence.
Republican lawmakers rallying behind the former president, with even some critics like Senator Mitt Romney questioning the strength of the case that relies on an untested legal strategy to elevate the charges to felonies.
We cannot and will not normalize serious criminal conduct.
House GOP leaders pushing to make the Manhattan DA answer questions on Capitol Hill.
We know that this is all about, in our judgment, election interference in the most important election we have. So we want to talk to him.
Mr. Trump is due back in court in December with a potential trial now on a collision course with the 2024 Republican presidential primaries. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Members of our community are taking a stand against the permitless carry bill signed by Governor DeSantis. End the silence, stop gun violence was one of the many chants echoed by protesters Tuesday as they marched towards City Hall. These protesters are associated with Moms Demand Action, a grassroots movement of Americans fighting for public safety measures to protect people from gun violence. The organization said that it's not anti-gun, but rather anti-gun violence and anti-bad bills that enable more gun violence.
Guns are the #1 killer of children in America today. Not books, not drag shows, not LGBTQ rights, not African American AP courses, not critical race theory, it's guns.
The bill will go into effect July 1st, making Florida the 26th state to allow permitless carry.
Multiple deaths were reported in a southeastern Missouri town as storms, hail, and heavy winds rolled through the region early this morning.
NBC's Maggie Vespa is in Chicago to tell us about a tornado that touched down in a county about 110 miles south of St. Louis.
This latest round of severe storms, again with the potential for tornadoes, already leaving a path of destruction across parts of the Midwest. And unfortunately, we can confirm injuries and fatalities this morning, specifically in Glen Allen, Missouri. That's a few hours south of St. Louis, where the Missouri Highway Patrol confirms they are in an active search and rescue situation, again confirming injuries and fatalities in that area. Also, yesterday afternoon into the evening hours, we saw tornadoes touching down in parts of Iowa and Illinois, specifically central Illinois, Fulton County, which is about 3 hours southwest of Chicago, kind of down toward Peoria and Bloomington Normal where we are. We're also seeing reports of damage and injuries in that area. This is, of course, a region of the country that is battered and beaten over the last couple of weeks with, again, multiple rounds of severe storms with tornadoes making their way through, ravaging parts of Arkansas, Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa, all the way down into parts of Texas and especially Mississippi and Alabama over the last couple of weeks. Those latest storms, those sort of more recent storms, causing dozens of injuries and deaths in those parts of the country. People in the Midwest and South this morning, heading into the afternoon, just hoping that they can keep the worst of these systems at bay. Back to you.
And now these storms may not be close to home, but they can for sure be happening anywhere, especially in Florida.
We're joined now by WUFT's Julia Haley, who tells us when it's time to prepare for these types of storms, and is it time now?
Well, Ashley, Emily, today is the National Weather Service's Safe Place Selfie Day. So we asked you to send in your pictures, and we even got some from our own team. The day is meant to highlight good storm safety practices and to encourage you to make a plan for what you'll do if disaster strikes. When preparing for an extreme weather event, find your safe place in a shelter away from any windows in the most interior part of your home or building. We hope these can be a friendly reminder to always be prepared. Now, speaking of storms and safe places, we are currently tracking your updates along this major cold front. Just forward of this cold front, seeing a tornado around Aurora, Kentucky, and not only that, but wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour moving eastward. Our temperatures currently sitting in the 80s, 89 for Gainesville and Ocala, 85 Palatka, and even 88 for High Springs. Very above average for this time of year. Outside of our studio, seeing those cloudy skies, which may affect your viewing tonight for the pink moon, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. 91 degrees with a little bit of some easterly winds. Not only that, but we are dropping from the 90s into the 80s and then into the 70s and 60s, still above average for this time of year, with your chance for fog in the morning. Back to you.
You could soon see significant changes to one of Gainesville's most notorious intersections. The Florida Department of Transportation plans to add a median to the intersection at Northwest 39th Avenue and 13th Street. Just recently, a 26-year-old motorcyclist was hit at the intersection by a white sedan. The sedan left the scene before officers arrived. In the first 20 days of 2023, 6 accidents happened within 800 feet of this intersection. A study from the Florida Department of Transportation concluded that there have been 358 collisions at the intersection since 2014.
Some inmates at Lowell Correctional Institution have a furry cellmate to keep them company.
WUFT's Elena Barrera witnessed the success stories of one work program at this prison.
Yes, I spent the morning watching Lowell's dog training program in action. I have to say, I was very impressed with the high-level tricks the dogs can perform. Besides, it's hard not to smile when watching adorable puppies.
This sound signifies hope for some inmates at Lowell Correctional Institution. Dog training at its core is behavioral modification. What the inmates didn't foresee, the modification of their character too.
Something happens that I realize is every time you train a dog, you are actually also training yourself. And it's kind of like a partnership we have going on. You watch them grow and you are also growing at the same time.
Patriot Service Dogs paired with Lowell in 2011 to create this dog training partnership.
We realized pretty quickly that getting out and just having dog training skills doesn't give you much of a leg up once you get out.
Confidence,
Yes.
public speaking, responsibility. A few of the skills dog trainers will take with them after their time at Lowell.
There's a lot of inmates that want to get into the program because it is so beneficial.
Inmates say the program has completely changed their lives. The 24/7 job, though tough, gives them a renewed sense of purpose.
Seeing, obviously, us make an impact and a difference. We've had an opportunity very recently to get to meet the veterans, the recipients of these dogs. That has been a game changer for us.
People may look at the institution and see closed doors, but the ones inside are starting to watch them slowly open, one obedient dog at a time.
Be sure to read my full story for more on the program and the people behind it all on WUFT.org. Back to you two.
Thanks, Elena. Later, we've got the story of a community getting back on its feet after Hurricane Ian. And when Julia gets back, she tells us about the upcoming pink moon.
But first, we'll show you how kids are getting up and moving to the beat at our local library. That's up next when First at 5 returns.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. Music and Movement is a weekly event hosted by Alachua County Libraries for toddlers.
The event aims to help train their motor skills using dancing and instruments. WUFT's Francis Kapper got to check out this youthful event earlier today.
Asher Valadares went to the library, but not to read. Instead, Asher learned hand-eye coordination through music and dancing. The weekly event, hosted Wednesdays at 10:30 and 11:30, is bustling with movement. Millhopper Children's librarian Colleen Tobin says that making the library fun is essential to literacy.
Why not make reading fun and interactive for kids? And I mean, it doesn't always have to be about books. It's also, the library also offers music. We have games, we have toys that kids can check out.
It's such socialization. They love to come and they always make friends, so it's been kind of cool. Throughout the times I've been coming, I start meeting like other moms and then the kids meeting other kids, and we see each other and say hey, and our kids end up playing together and we end up talking more. So it's great for them and it's great for, the mom environment as well.
The event is so popular that it is also hosted once a month on Saturdays for parents who cannot attend during weekdays.
The feedback is always really positive. They think that the kids have a lot of fun at the event and they love coming to the library. They get to meet other parents and kind of make connections in the community.
Children interact with the event through playing, singing, dancing, music, and reading.
We also do story time in the park on Tuesdays, and it's just so much fun that they make that trek out there and the kids get to all come together in a different environment, and then they also go play at that playground. So I think it's just super helpful. It gets kids in the library, and that's the first step.
Francis Kapper, WUFT News.
A popular Florida visitor spot in Sanibel Island staple, the J.N. Ding Darling National Wildlife Refuge just reopened for the first time since Hurricane Ian.
WBBH's Sarah Metz was there for the celebration.
O-P-E-N.
It's been a long time. This is a great milestone to reopen.
We really have come such a long way throughout Southwest Florida, but also right here on Sanibel Island. According to the final Hurricane Ian report, the island faced 6 to 9 feet of storm surge, and it hurt the Ding Darling Wildlife Refuge Center in many ways.
A storm surge like this that floods the entire island, it sets the vegetative state, all the vegetation back probably 100 years. So it's going to look different for a long time out here on the island.
Not just the mangroves, seagrass, but it's wildlife and land as well.
It's been a lot of work getting it back, the wildlife drive back in order. About almost 2,000 tons of fill dirt have been put out on Wildlife Drive to shore up and stabilize the drive itself.
The visitor center is still running on a generator, but today is about the new beginnings here. So be prepared to see some changes.
We still got a lot of work to do, but the Wildlife Drive is open. Some of our boardwalks and everything, a lot of those are closed still. but we've got the visitor center that's going to open today, the Wildlife Drive opening today.
The Mangrove Overlook and its Shell Mound Trail will still be closed, but its Bailey Tract, most of the Indigo Trail, Keys Trail, the Education Boardwalk, and its nature store are up and running. They will also have limited schedules for tram tours.
It's truly heartwarming to see businesses and parks opening back up after such a devastating storm.
Absolutely. Seeing that firsthand and just seeing how extensive that damage was, it really is so inspiring. And now we didn't really get too impacted by Hurricane Ian out here in our area, but Julia, I hear there are some remaining threats from another severe storm coming our way.
Well, on the topic of severe weather, we are currently tracking the remains of the severe storms from earlier this week. As the major front heads east, we could see some more showers. More on your end of week forecast after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Currently tracking those storms all across the central and eastern United States, seeing that tornado hit around Kentucky, and we have those wind gusts just in front of this cold front that is heading eastward. Now that severe risk is going to last mostly around Kentucky and Ohio and even Illinois for our Wednesday, moving eastward for your Thursday. And for storm safety, it's never too early to prepare, especially because we are talking about safe places today. If you are looking for your safe place in your home, especially in the interior central part of your home, that is where you will be the safest from any flying debris. Or even if you have a basement, go into your basement, save yourself from any windows that could possibly be damaging for you. Now our campus cam, seeing those cloudy skies outside, which could affect the pink moon later tonight. 91 degrees outside, those temperatures sitting in the 80s and dropping overnight. 88 Gainesville, 89 Ocala, and even 89 for the Villages. And if we travel to St. Augustine, currently seeing those blue skies outside. Perfect day to make your way east toward the beaches, and same for your Thursday and Friday as well. Now we did increase in temperature about 3 degrees here in Gainesville, 4 degrees in Lake City, and even 11 degrees in Cross City, and we are dropping from the 90s into the 60s overnight. Now for tonight, watch out for that pink moon. That pink moon is going to be at peak illumination at 12:37 a.m. It is the first full moon of spring. It will look either pink or orange in your area, so definitely get outside and try to see that first full moon of spring tonight. And towards the end of the week, expecting those above average temperatures to last just a little bit longer. So for your Thursday morning, sitting in the mid 60s, which is still above average for this time of year. And we are expecting that fog mostly in Marion County. Not only that, but we are rising into the lower 90s for your Thursday. For your Easter weekend, April showers, that is what we should be seeing. Especially take a look at that future radar, that stationary front bringing those showers for your Saturday. Now, if you take a look at your 6-day forecast, Thursday, expect that chance for patchy fog, and then we are dropping from the 90s into the 70s due to those showers. So it's going to be a little cloudy for your Easter. Back to you.
Thanks, Julia. It's so hot out today. I couldn't imagine doing a lot outside today.
Absolutely not. Well, I actually heard that men's tennis played a doubleheader today, and I have no idea how they managed because I know I was sweating just walking here today. So Karina, how did they do it?
Fun fact, alligators actually control their body temperature by basking in the sun. So it's no coincidence that the Florida Gators beat the heat as they face off against Eastern Kentucky. WUFT's Jensen Young will join us in studio to tell you all about it, coming up in sports.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Karina Wilson. In untraditional fashion, the number 20 Florida Gators men's tennis team battled the Eastern Kentucky Colonels in a midweek doubleheader today. Florida swept Eastern Kentucky 4-0 at Alfred A. Ring Tennis Complex this morning. It took the Gators just over 90 minutes to conquer the Colonels. WUFT's Jensen Young joins us in the studio now to tell us how the second match went. Jensen, how did it go in the second leg of the doubleheader?
Thanks, Karina. The Gators took care of business earlier today in just over half an hour, and the results in the second leg were eerily similar. Florida beat Eastern Kentucky in the second stint of the day. And play finished up at the tennis complex just a little bit ago, with Florida taking the victory 4-0 yet again. Through the 6 completed singles matches, the Gators dropped just 7 games total. Some of the stars of the day were Boris Zagola, who got his first win as a Gator, freshman Togan Tokac, and junior Will Grant. All 3 of those players won their matches without giving up a single game. The Gators take the courts again on Friday when they host Tennessee. Karina, back to you.
Yesterday, Gators star Nana Rickards announced that she has entered the transfer portal as a graduate student. In a tweet, Rickards said she's forever grateful for the opportunity to play for such a prestigious university. She joins fellow student guard KK Deans in the portal. Rickards spent 4 seasons with the Orange and Blue, totaling 1,041 points. The number 3 Florida Gators baseball team heads to Rocky Top to take on number 11 Tennessee Thursday. Last weekend, the Gators claimed a series win over Auburn, and they kept the momentum going, topping Bethune-Cookman last night. The Orange and Blue offense is firing on all cylinders. According to D1 Baseball's power rankings, UF is the only school with 4 top 10 hitters. On the other end, the Volunteers escaped a series sweep, defeating the number 1 ranked LSU Tigers Saturday. While the Gators lead the all-time series 154-94, the Wolves won the last matchup between the SEC foes. First pitch tomorrow is set for 8 p.m. The Gators softball team hosts the Auburn Tigers for a 3-game series starting tomorrow. This SEC matchup comes following a series loss to in-conference opponent South Carolina. The last time Florida played at Katie Cecil Presley Stadium was March 29th in an 8-0 win over Stetson. This past weekend, the Tigers took down the Ole Miss Rebels. UF looks to bounce back versus Auburn, as the last time the pair squared off, the Gators emerged victorious. First pitch tomorrow is slated for 6 p.m. The Tampa Bay Rays are the only remaining undefeated team in the MLB, trumping the Washington Nationals 7-2 this afternoon. The Rays are the first team since the 2016 Baltimore Orioles to start the season 6-0. Tampa shortstop Wander Franco hit a 2-run home run to put the Rays up 3-1 in the top of the third. With bases loaded, Rays pitcher Shane McClanahan struck out 2 batters in a row to get out of a jam in the 4th. Jumping to the 6th, Tampa's Harold Ramirez sent one to center field and over the wall to put the game away at Nationals Park. With back-to-back series sweeps, Tampa is now plus 2,000 to win the World Series. Next up, Tampa returns to the Trop to take on the Athletics in a 3-game series starting Friday. That's it for sports. I'm Karina Wilson.
Thanks, Karina. Finally, One Florida Gardening Club highlights a native plant each month to share right plant, right place techniques. IFAS is celebrating 50 years of the Master Gardening Program. Volunteer gardeners are trained to provide horticultural education and outreach to Florida residents. Throughout the year, a special species is selected as the plant of the month. April's plant, pickleweed. Program statewide coordinator Wendy Wilbur says pickleweed teaches gardeners adjusting techniques to adapt to Florida's climate.
The pickleweed is definitely the right plant in the right place if you have a shoreline planting. This is the key principle of Florida-friendly landscaping.
The vegetative aquatic plant helps regulate ecosystems within lakes and swamp shorelines. Aspiring horticulturalists are encouraged to take the Florida-friendly pledge. The pledge includes promising to uphold principles in their gardening, including efficient watering and attracting wildlife.
It seems like it's finally getting nice outside for gardening.
Absolutely, but I feel like it might be a little bit hot to garden out in there in this heat. Julia, can you give us one last look at the weather?
Well, Ashley, Emily, make sure to water your plants as we are seeing a drought in most of Florida, especially around Fort Myers and Naples and around Gainesville as well. Not only that, but if you take a look outside of our studio, you will see those blue skies outside. Not only blue skies, but we are dropping from the 90s into the 70s. Back to you.
Thanks, Julia. That's our show for this evening. See you tomorrow.
Good night.